Hello everyone, my name is Christian Eschbach, and welcome to another one of my album reviews. Hey kids, it's Metallica time again, because I'm getting all pumped up for the concert in November. Cannot wait. Can't wait. Alright, we're going to do a double album this time, because realistically, it is the same album, just kind of split up a little bit. Alright, we're talking about Death Magnetic, and I've got the cool version with the awesome artwork. All the fun little cutaway pages. Love it. I really like when bands have some fun with stuff. I really do. And I'm really glad that Metallica kind of had some fun with this one. Or at least whoever, did it. So, there's Death Magnetic, and then there is Beyond Magnetic. Pre-Lulu, post-Lulu. They screwed up with Lulu. This is how they tried to fix things. It works, and it works. To a degree. I'll get into this as we go. Alright, so the 4 songs on here were 4 songs that were from this recording session, and this is why I'm including everything together. This is a very long EP, almost to the point where it's a full-length album, and this is a full album. Alright. We got a lot of songs to kind of cover here. Now this is Metallica working with Rick Rubin. Rick Rubin is famous, has worked with so many talented artists. Rick Rubin can produce some damn fine results. Rick Rubin has a bit of a style of producing albums that I don't know if I could work with him or not, but it'd be interesting. And that's just because he can be really peculiar about certain things. And I know I've read reviews where artists love his work, love what he does. It's just difficult to work within his style, we'll say. Alright, the album opens up with That Was Your Life. Opens up the album brilliantly. I think it kicks this album off, lets you know you are back with Metallica. If you are an old school Metallica fan, meaning if you are a fan of if you're one of those, like I call them, the whiny fans that are only fans of like the first 4 albums, you clearly haven't listened to this one, because right away it lets you know that you're right back where Justice basically left off. Metallica themselves have said that Beyond Magnetic or Death Magnetic and Beyond Magnetic was basically the album that should have come out between And Justice for All and the Black Album, and that is absolutely true. Absolutely true. There are so many elements on here that are very Justice-like. But it's all the good elements of Justice, not the bad elements. Like, you've got huge riffing throughout this whole entire album. You've got the multi-changes in the riffing. You got the speed. You got the ferociousness. You've got the commentary on society and everything going apeshit crazy and whatnot. And I mean, this album was 2008. This was right before the collapse that this came out. Perfect time period. And it should have been the soundtrack for the collapse. It should have been, man, because it would have been perfect with some of the songs that are on here. Now, as I was saying, That Was Your Life opens up the album beautifully, lets you know where you are, but it's one of the few songs on this album that I really never think about when the album is not playing. It's not like, you know what, I really want to go put on That Was Your Life. It isn't. It's throw on the album, let it rip right at the beginning, but that's it. I'm done after that with that song. The End of the Line. I don't mind the end of the line. It keeps the album flowing perfectly. Great song. Enjoyable tune. Anybody who says it's one of their favorite songs off this album, I'd be a little surprised, but I wouldn't hold it against them or anything like that. I wouldn't say they got bad taste or anything like that. Just not a song that does much for me. But then you get into Broken, Beat, and Scarred. And now I'm really into this album. I love Broken, Beat, and Scarred. It was actually my mantra for a while at the time. Like I said, this album for 2008, right album at the right time, man, because in 2008, we were all feeling broken, beaten, scarred, man, and should have been the mantra. should have been the mantra, especially of the Occupy Wall Street. Speaking of U.S., you might want to try that Occupy Wall Street thing again. That was pretty good. I recommend that's where you send all your homeless. Wall Street. Good place. Just pack them all up into buses, send them into Wall Street. Should start fixing some of the problems. From there, we get to The Day That Never Comes. Okay. And with The Day That Never Comes, I remember saying that this was a song that was like a bad fungus that grew on you, man. You just... One of those songs that really... when it first came out, I was not a huge fan of it. It wasn't bad. As the lead-off single, I was a little surprised it was the lead-off single, not the one I would have picked. But a good tune overall. Like, now I really do appreciate it. Now I really enjoy it when it comes on. Really get into it. Probably one of my favorite songs off this album. Not one of my favorite songs in general, just off this album. Then you get to All Nightmare Long. Ooh. Okay, so I should point out that the middle of this album, for me, with the exception of one other song, the middle of this album is this entire album for me. So, kind of starting at Broken, Beaten, Scarred, then you got The Day That Never Comes, then you hit All Nightmare Long, man, and I'm right into this album. I love All Nightmare Long. All Nightmare Long is definitely my favorite song off this album. Like, if I go top 3 off this album, it's going to be All Nightmare Long. Then the next song will be Cyanide, which is the next song. And then The Day That Never Comes probably would be my top 3 off this album. But that number 3 spot could fight with a couple other tracks. All Nightmare Long, I love the hunting sound on it, man. Like, you can just, in the music, you can just hear that hunting vibe, man. That predatory, just coming at you all night long, man. Like, the music just suits the song so beautifully. I can't help but absolutely dig every last part of it. It is just brilliant. Then Cyanide, I love the bass on this one, man. That and then you get the guitar. Oh, Cyanide. That is... Yeah, just... I mean, vocally, lyrically, is it one of James' better lyrical songs? Not necessarily. But this song is about the music, man. The lyrics are great, the lyrics are there, but the music on this one, oh, sexy. This is one of those songs, because you didn't get to enjoy it with Saint Anger, okay? Bob Rock was the one that recorded Saint Anger, so you didn't get to enjoy the fact that Rob Trujillo was actually in the band at that time. Here you get to enjoy it, and you get to hear Rob getting into his bass pockets, man. And it's interesting, because at this point, Rob Trujillo has been in the band longer than every other bassist almost put together. Ron McGovney being in the band in 1981 is the only thing that throws this out of whack, this statement, because you gotta figure Rob joined the band in 2003. We're now in 23. He's still around 20 years later, okay? The band first, if you go by Kill 'Em All being released in 83, then you've got, 83 to 2003, 20 years. You got Burton, Newstead, and as I already mentioned, Bob Rock. Then you got Trujillo doing the second half of that 40 years. If you go to 81 when the band actually started and include Ron McGovney in there, then Rob's got to go 2 more years in order to equal out to the same time as every bassist in the band put together before him. And it's kind of cool. And the reason why I go into this is you get a different bassist with every era, and it's fantastic. having Cliff in that early era was brilliant because the sound Metallica had in that early era, you will never get that again. With Jason and everything else, you will never ever get that again because you can't get it again. It's just never going to happen because Cliff was Cliff. But same thing with Jason. You know, well, obviously we'll never hear Cliff play Jason, but we've heard Rob play Jason. And Rob plays Jason, sure, but he plays it like Rob plays Rob, and that's what you want to hear. That's what you need. That's what's important. And then you get to the actual Rob period, and the bass changes yet again. And the bass in the Rob period is its own unique, awesome beast in itself. And this is all important because, as I said, on Cyanide, man, that bass riff is so sexy. See, I brought it all around. Okay. After that, we get into the one song that had built itself into a trilogy somehow. No one would have pictured Back in the Black album that a beautiful song with one of the most amazing videos of all time, Unforgiven, would end up becoming as what it is. And it's really interesting even because Unforgiven, we've all heard the rule about sequels. Sequels are never better than the originals, except for the exceptions. And you know what those exceptions are. Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, possible exception over whether or not it was better than Raiders of the Lost Ark. When it comes to Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, how many people say that was the best in the series? Aliens over Alien. You know, there are Friday the 13th, Part 6. Nightmare on Elm Street, Part 3. There are movies out there that are there are sequels out there that definitely can be compared to and possibly outdo the originals. I personally, and I have mentioned this in a previous review, Unforgiven 2 is actually my favorite Unforgiven track. I think it's the best one. I think it was the heaviest one. I think it was kind of the more interesting sounding of all of them. However, Unforgiven 3, which appears on this album, completely unique beast. Unforgiven 2 basically took everything from Unforgiven 1, cranked it up to 11, and made it more personal. This one, on the other hand, just totally changed it all. It's, well, using movie references once again, this is Halloween 3. Almost said Halloween. Did so many Halloween reviews, I'm screwing that up. This is Halloween 3. A lot of people love Halloween 3. Not as a Halloween movie, but love Halloween 3 as its own separate movie. This is Halloween 3. I love it as its own separate movie. I think it works great as the whole entire trilogy, to be completely honest with you. I mean, this is just the piano in it. First off, there's piano in it. Piano in a Metallica song. Works. One of the reasons they also don't get to play it live, unfortunately, because thankfully they don't play with tapes, as far as I know of. We'll find that in November, man. If it looks even remotely like they're playing with tapes, I'm going to cry. I mean, they do use tapes. Absolutely. But they always make it very clear when the tapes are playing, usually. Okay. We're going to move on. Now, after Unforgiven 3, there's only one other song I'm really into on the album that I really, really enjoy. But there's still 3 more songs that we have to get through here. Okay, so we got Judas Kiss. I hate Judas Kiss. I don't like it. It is the one song off this album I have not liked since day one. Part of it is I'm not a fan of the music on it in general. I don't know what it is. And I mentioned this in another review recently as well. Songs that for some reason have Judas in it, I'm not a fan of. And I don't know what it is about the songs. And it's not like any of them are praising Judas. It's not like anybody's saying Saint Judas in any of these songs or anything like that. I mean, this one's literally about getting the Judas kiss, which is basically, you're about to go down, motherfucker. So it's not like it's presenting the Judas kiss in a great satanic kind of perspective or anything like that. So I have issues with that. For some reason, I've yet to find a song with Judas in the title that I like so far. I mean, Judas Priest is another story. The band. You know, in any of their songs where they might, I know they've got one in there that they've got Judas in the title, which I actually don't mind. That would be Judas Rising, which I don't mind at all. I think it's really good, but that might be the exception to the rule kind of thing, and I just remembered that one off the top of my head. And that's just because of the vocals on it, and the Rob Halford's vocals, Judas Priest, the whole thing, you know, just, yeah. Okay, alright, alright. Then we hit Suicide and Redemption, which is the song that I do actually really enjoy. It's the first instrumental since And Justice for All. This instrumental gets a lot of crap. A lot of people kind of write it off. I don't. I think it's brilliant. I really love, especially when it gets into the big kind of patriotic swell on it. That big redemption part, that... you know, it does. It sounds... When I say patriotic, I mean, like, it doesn't sound U.S. I know they're an American band, but it doesn't sound like U.S. patriotic. It doesn't sound like USA kind of patriotic. It just has this great, warm, swelling feeling. As a Canadian man, it gives me great swelling of pride where I'm just like, my country, yes, the redemption, you know, like, brilliant. The whole way around, I really do love this song. And, I mean, when you compare it to, like, every other instrumental, alright, it's a little bit down the line compared to a lot of the other instrumentals. Like, in sequence of album releases, this is where it goes, you know, because, I mean, okay, Anesthesia Pulling Teeth is Anesthesia Pulling Teeth, okay, man? No one's going to talk shit about Cliffy's bass solo. No one. Call of Cthulhu. No one won't talk shit about Call of Cthulhu. No one's going to talk shit about Orion. No one's going to talk shit about To Live Is To Die. Suicide Redemption does not get the same love. At this point, people are willing to talk shit. I, on the other hand, think it's brilliant. I think it's beautiful. I think it belongs up there with every last one of those songs. And this is why I always say when people ask me, well, what would you put together for a top 10 Metallica list? The first words out of my mouth are always, all right, I have to take all the instrumentals separately. They just go on one album. That's it, okay? Because for me, the instrumentals are some of Metallica's absolute best stuff, without a doubt. I mean, I have actually made mixtapes where the instrumentals take up one whole entire side, basically. This is one of those songs that I think is absolutely brilliant. Anybody that talks shit about it is just, they're talking shit. And then you get My Apocalypse, which closes out the album beautifully, okay? I think it's a great way to close out the album. I'm just not into the song. It's one of the few songs I'll call Metallica by numbers. Yeah. But, once again, it closes out the album perfectly. Anybody who talks crap saying that, you know, Metallica hasn't done anything good since And Justice for All hasn't listened to this album at all. Has not really, truly, honestly listened to this album. Because all the elements in here you will find on Lightning, Master of Puppets, and Justice. There isn't a lot in here I would compare to Kill 'Em All. Maybe a little bit. But not a lot. This is definitely like the three kind of big ones in the arc. You know what I'm saying? And then we're going to go on to Hate Train. I'm sorry this review's running late because I've rambled on enough. But this one's going to be a little bit shorter. This one only has 4 tracks. You got Hate Train. We're moving on to Hate Train. We're moving on to Beyond Magnetic. The song is Hate Train, and then you got Just a Bullet Away, Hell and Back, and Rebel of Babylon. Hate Train is okay. I don't mind it. It starts off the album well. Just a Bullet Away. Ooh, I like this one, man. I really dig Just a Bullet Away. It's there's just so much in that song on so many different levels. Like, you could obviously, to me, it's just a bullet away from self deletion. But it could also easily be someone else's bullet. Like, when you look at the gun violence in the U.S. specifically, and when you look at the one of the few good things that came out of the lockdowns with the pandemic is they finally broke their streak of mass shootings at schools. Daily streak of over a decade of mass shootings at schools. That's disgusting. So when you think of it that way, just a bullet away, Now, this song, once again, it's completely about self-termination. But how many of those people that go and do that are also self-termination, right? Okay, so we're moving away from that, but it is a great song. I love it. I actually kind of hope that they do it live. Hell and Back. Hell and Back is a little bit Metallica by numbers, but it's really good. I really enjoy it. I like all the different parts of it. I like all the layering on this one. I like all the texturing on this one. I really just dig every last part of this one for the most part. And then the album finishes off with Rebel of Babylon, and this one I'm kind of hit and miss with. There's parts of it I really enjoy. There's parts of it that I'm okay with it, and there's parts of it where I'm like, I just don't like that transition or change. Okay, so in the world of Metallica, it's really interesting because some albums have the distinct honor of every song on them has been played live. Well, there's only 4 songs on it, it's not hard. Weirdly, this has the distinction of every song on it has been played live. Death Magnetic, I would have to go back and double check, but I think maybe one of the songs hasn't been played live. Alright, here's the point where I'm going to have to pop up stuff on the screen. So if I'm wrong, it'll be up on the screen. But from what I can remember, I think 1 or 2 of the songs off here may not have been played live. I know this entire album's been played live. This one definitely does not get as much play anymore. This one still gets a little more play. I really enjoy both albums. Going back and re-listening to them. I personally, if I were to go back, I would like to mix the two together. I would take 1 or 2 songs off of here, and I would take Judas Kiss off of here, and possibly End of the Line. Even My Apocalypse. I might even have to go with all 3, because I don't remember the times on the tracks off the top of my head. But I would take those off and switch them for Just a Bullet Away and Hell and Back and put those on there, and I think that would actually make this a better album. But those are my thoughts, my views, my opinions, and since this has been a double album review, I have run a little long, so I'm going to wrap this up here, even though I kind of blew through this and went overboard on this. Okay, well, that's kind of how I feel about the two altogether. Tell me what you think, folks. How would you mix these two? If you were to redo it and you make these just one album, what songs would be your just one album? Tell me. That's what the comment section is for. On your way down there, you will see a link that will take you over to my Patreon. You are welcome to subscribe there to get access to some of the cool stuff I have there. Or you could just donate some money that way. There's a like button, a subscribe button, a bell for notifications. If you are on Rumble, there's the join and follow button. Locals joke. Thanks for watching. Peace, love, take care.